measure the time diligently, that's what you're supposed to do. Not half-assed, not every 3 or 4 days. It says diligently. Not because I say it, because the scriptures say it. Diligently means earnestly. So while you're measuring the times, the signs, the prophecies, you're doing it with a fervent spirit. Anything you see, anything, you're putting it out there. That's called being diligent. And when I see part of the signs, parts which I've told you before. And what are the signs? Go to Luke 21:6. It tells you about the signs. There shall be false prophets. There shall deceive. Wars, rumors of wars. Commotions, but be not afraid. Why? Because the end is not by and by. This is just the beginning. Just the beginning. You really ain't seen nothing yet. Should I well understand why? Because you've been measuring the times diligently. Because you have the knowledge of the scriptures. Then should I well understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Okay? Can you understand? That Yahweh Shai is coming to what? To visit this world, which he made, which he formed, with the angels. That's what he's coming to do. He's coming to visit this world, which he made, which he formed. Therefore, when there should be seen earthquakes, uproars of the people in the world, and we're seeing that. We're seeing uproars, we're seeing earthquakes, people in the world. We're seeing volcanoes. We're seeing floods. Last week, the floods in the UK, floods in Germany. You know how many people have been dead? They're saying what, 50, over 50? It's probably in the hundreds. This is all biblical. All these things were said. All these things were prophesied of. These are all plagues. Okay? Bear with me just a minute. Yeah. Bear me just a minute. Let's go to Revelation. Let's see if I can find it. Because that's another thing. If anybody knows me, I've always said the scriptures are repetitive. There's sometimes every topic is going to be different. Some topics are going to be the same. Some topics are going to be different. So what? That's the whole point of the scriptures. You're going to be teaching different things. Sometimes different, sometimes the same. You know? And who are you to criticize another man? The scriptures deal with that. As long as you're in his kingdom, we're going to be bringing out what? The same prophecies. Okay? Because it's not the law that's going to save you. It's your faith. It's your faith, and guess what? It's your faith through the prophecy. Have belief in the prophet. If you don't believe in these prophecies, you're wasting your time. Because you have men, they will talk shit. They'll wait all week, and for the end of the week, they'll criticize another man. Oh, he's just going over the same thing. No, I'm not. Anybody that watches my videos, it's different topics. It's not the same topic. I don't know whose videos you've been watching. You understand what I'm saying? Grow up. Examine yourself. Okay? Criticizing another man, but you ain't doing shit. You're lukewarm at best. That's why the scripture says, take the beam out of your own eye. Take the blood clot beam out of your own eye. Excuse my language. Because you got men that would do that. Criticize other men, but they're not even doing the work of the Lord. So before you criticize others, make sure you're doing the work. Before you chat a whole bunch of nonsense. You make yourself look silly. Can't stand niggas that do that, man. You got the nerve to talk about other men that are actually doing the work. Putting themselves out there. But you ain't doing anything. You're lukewarm. And when you are doing a video, you're all timid. You know, head down. Oh, you know. Bro, get out of that spirit. Got some nerve. The scriptures say that in Philippians. Some preach for contention, looking to add affliction to my bonds. You're not supposed to be teaching for contention. You got men with that spirit in the truth. You need to examine yourself. Teaching for contention. All the week, most of the week you're lukewarm. Then when you do teach, you're just getting on others, criticizing others. Oh yeah, I'm watching the videos to see what other men don't do right. But have you examined yourself? What hypocrisy, man. Bear me just a minute, I need to burn some incense. Bear me just a minute. What hypocrisy. Some nerve. Yahushua, you know what Yahushua does to men like that? He destroys men like that. Bear me just a minute. Here it is. I got an answer to a man. I got an answer to a man that's not even in the spirit. That's how messed up things are. A man could not even be in the spirit, and he will have a leadership role. But this guy ain't even in the spirit. He's in the spirit of the world. Oh man. Some nerve, man. So let's go back to where it was. Let's go to you know what? We might as well touch on it. This is Revelations. Seeing that I'm on it. Revelations 3:10, then we're going to jump to 15. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation. Why? Because you kept what? That patience. Right? Which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the face of the earth. So that temptation is coming upon all the world, okay, to try them. You understand? Because they were faithful, okay. They didn't go back into the world. They were faithful. But this comes to try all the world. So if you ain't being faithful, if you go back into the world, you're in big trouble. You're in big trouble. Yahweh ain't going to protect you. Yahweh ain't going to keep you back. And that hour of temptation, what is it? It's the RFID chip, which is going to be implemented worldwide. And we want to be kept from them. And that's why we do what we do. Okay? Jump straight to Revelation 3. You know what? No, we do another lesson on that later. Not now. Okay? The Jacob trouble is coming. And what does that entail? A whole load of bloodshed. A whole lot of worrying. That's what it entails. Okay? Bear me just a minute. See if we can find some. Got men that are comfortable. You know, you've been in this how long? 8 or 10 years, and you think you have a ticket to salvation. And again, it doesn't mean nothing because you've been in this young. Because you have certain men that will say, well, I've been in this since I was 10 years old or 15. It doesn't mean anything. What are you doing now? What are you doing for Yahweh Shai now? Not about what you were doing 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago. What are you doing for Yahweh Shai now, today? Because yeah, Yahweh Shai, he has your works in remembrance, but it's about, are you still in the truth? That's what it's about. Bear me just a minute. Because you've got men, they criticize you. Oh, you know, you can't be speaking about that. Then you examine the video and it's like, it's not that bad. I was speaking through the Spirit. Brothers are speaking through the Spirit. It's like, you have a problem. Okay? See, we criticize, but you've got to be careful of overly criticizing. Because then you just look like a fool. Got men that are highly emotional. Oh, you can't speak about that. Well, we're going to speak what Yahweh Shai wants us to speak. It's just men are compromised. When you're compromised, you can't speak the word in its entirety. There it is. Let's go to 2 Ezra 15. Behold, speak thou in the ears. So we're speaking in the ears of our people. Okay. Of my people, the words of prophecy. And these are the words what? Of prophecy. Okay. Which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. And the reason why men don't speak on prophecy, because they don't believe. Yeah, I know you've got different roles, but if you're a prophet, how can you call yourself a prophet, but you don't speak on no prophecy? That means you're not a prophet, you just may be a helper, you know, or whatever. But prophets, what? They prophesy of what's about to happen, you know? Oh, Yahweh was born in a manger. Well, is that's somewhat prophecy? Oh, the law's this, the law that. Well, the scriptures talk about the law of faith. You can know the laws, but if you don't have the law of faith, then you're done. Talk about all this other stuff. Or are you talking about Yahweh Shai? Are you talking about the impending danger? Are you talking about what we can do to get ourselves, for Yahweh Shai to deliver us out of this condition? If you're not talking about that, you're not talking about nothing. which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. So if a man says, no, bro, you can't be talking about that. The scripture says, which the Lord Yahushua will put in thy mouth. A lot of men are blinding you. A lot of men are teaching in the flesh. A lot of men are teaching in the flesh. And what do I mean by that? They're not teaching you the things of the spirit. They're teaching you the things of the flesh. So if someone's teaching you the things of the flesh, they're not getting you prepared. They're blinding you. They're keeping you carnal. When I do my lessons, it's that not to get you in the flesh, to get you out of the flesh. To have you seeing things spiritual, not carnal. Okay? Reading Daniel's and all these other books is good because it builds up your knowledge. But that's not what's going to save you. When you're in a detention center, oh yeah, I know the book of Daniel's. That's not going to save you. It's your faith that's going to save you. And you can take that however you want. You want to get offended, get offended. If you're not spiritual, you're not spiritual. You're carnal. Men that are not spiritual, they try to make up for the outward, washing of hands. Are you circumcised, which is important to be circumcised? How are you washing your hands? Have you kept the Sabbath? Which we keep the Sabbath to the best of our abilities. It was the Sabbath yesterday. The Sabbath finished yesterday. Okay? But guess what? Not all of these things are going to save you. It's your faith in Yahushua. But men are teaching you. Remember what the scriptures talk about in Hebrews 9? Moses, that the carnal ordinances. These were carnal ordinances. Then you had the spiritual ordinances. Which is of what? The spirit. That's what Yahushua was teaching you. The sacrifices of the spirit. Not so much of the flesh. Because when you're sacrificing your time, your spirit, the flesh is dying. This is what men don't understand. Because they were taught a certain way. I don't know. Maybe you grew up in Esau synagogues. But Esau synagogues, they were not teaching you the right way. They don't fully have the understanding. So if you were taught that way, you're not really going to understand what the law was for and who it was for. Which the scripture says the law was not made for a righteous man, but for what? The sinner. So they could know what to do and what not to do. So they can be on the narrow. That's why it was made for them. Because the righteous man was already doing the things that were already pleasing, according to the law. What's so hard to understand? Bear me just a minute. And cause them to be written in paper. So these words, what are they? They're written in paper. Right here. The Holy Scriptures, the Bible. For they are faithful and true. So these words, guess what? They're faithful and true. So knowing these words are faithful and true, what do? We speak the words of the Scriptures. I don't care about your opinion, how you feel. If someone comes to me and says, oh, I don't really think you should be speaking on that. Well, the Scripture says they are faithful and true. 26+. The Scriptures tell us to speak the words of the Bible. The Scripture says, fear them not. Okay. I'm not going to sugarcoat what I'm saying because of you, because how you feel, because you're not spiritual. That just means you need to work on being more spiritual as a man. That's it. I need to bend my words, sugarcoat it. No, I shouldn't have to do that. Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity of them trouble thee, but speak against thee. Okay? That speak against thee. For all the unfaithful shall die in the unfaithfulness. Okay? For all the unfaithful shall die in a... Don't worry about the unfaithful. They're going to die in that unfaithfulness. So what if somebody don't believe? Go to Romans 3. Whoever has ears, let him hear. But what if some did not believe? Okay? The scripture's saying that. But what if some did not believe? So bloody what? You choose not to believe. Is that going to change some prophecies? Is that going to mean America's not going to be destroyed? Is that mean you're not going to be destroyed? Does that mean your house ain't going to come back? Scripture says, so what if some did not believe? It don't matter. The prophecies are still going to play out, whether you believe it or not. Alright? So what? Shall their unbelief make the faith of the Most High without effect? The answer is no. So does this mean these prophecies are not going to come into effect? They're still going to come into effect. It's not going to change anything. Guess what? It's just going to make you wrong and Yahweh Shai right. And the prophecies of the Lord right. That's all. Okay? Because these words are true. These words are not going to fail. You know? That's why scripture says in the last days there shall be scoffers. Scoffers don't believe what we're saying is true, but so what? We're not concerned with them. We're not concerned with a scoffer. We're not concerned with those that don't believe. You're reading these scriptures and you have in your mind, well, is it really going to happen? You know, you shouldn't have that in your mind. Is it going to happen today? You know? Is it going to happen tomorrow? I don't really see it, you know? Because the Lord hasn't given you that faith. He hasn't given you that faith to believe. That's why. Simple as that. And that's why faith is a gift. And if you're getting upset with the idea of men having faith, already you need to check yourself. You may just be of Satan. Right? And what's faith? The substance of things not seen but hoped for. That's faith. Hope for. So again, we don't see it, but we hope for it. Why? Because we know it exists. So if we know it exists, of course we're going to hope for it. Because we know it's there. If you don't believe it's there, then you're not going to hope for it. That means you're not going to fight for it. You're not going to fight for salvation. You're going to do as less as possible. You understand? It's very simple. When you study the psychology of men through the scriptures, you're going to do as less as possible because you just don't believe. Simple. Let's go to Psalms 119. Psalms 119 and 30. 130. The entrance of thy words, the beginning of thy words, giveth light. So these words, they give light. They give wisdom. It giveth understanding unto the simple. So even these words give understanding unto the simple. We were all one simple. But that's what this word does. It makes you wise unto salvation. Okay. See what else we can find. lucky. I'm doing a lot of jumping about. I did want to stay on the prophecies, but Yahushua has me speaking about, this. Now really I want to go to the prophecies. Right, it's all according to the Lord's will. It's men, again, they're taking this truth for a joke. But we're going to get to the prophecies, bear with me just a minute. But you know the reason, you know what? You know the reason why a lot of men, they don't go into prophecy? Because this is what, if you're a man of the world, that's going to threaten your own existence or what you've already got set up in this world. That's why men don't want to go into the prophecies. Because really, it's a threat to your own existence here. What you got set up. That's what it is. When you think about it, okay? So bear with me just a minute. And the scriptures tell you that you had those that made a covenant with the heathen that were round about. Bear with me just a minute. Because in the time of the Maccabees, you had those that were what? Siding with the other nations. Where is it? If I can't find it, I'll move on. Can't find it, we'll move on. But you've always had our people that have sided with the other nations, that have taken deals with the other. You've always had our people that have done that, sellouts within our nation. Always. It's even in Babylon. Quickly want to go into something. Let's go to Jeremiah, because I've been reading this for the last week. Let's go to example. You've always had our people that have always done that. Always. Alright? Go to Jeremiah. What an idiot. In a car, but he's got a mask on his face. What foolish, man. Bear me just a minute. I want to get into an example. And this is Jeremiah when he was rebuking the kings, warning them what was about to happen. Bear me just a minute. There's a lot of meat here. A lot of meat. All right. Let's go to Jeremiah 36. This is Jeremiah 36. And yes, and it came to pass, and we're going to do a lot of jumping around. And it came to pass in the 4th year of, don't know if I'm saying it right, Jehoiakim, the son of Joshua, king of Judah. Because even in captivity, you do know that the Babylonians, they also set up men as kings in particular regions. Okay, so you've always had our people that were set up by other nations, always. Okay, but this word came unto Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, take thee a roll of a book and write therein all the words that I have spoken unto thee against Israel and against Judah and against all the nations from the day I spake unto thee from the days of Joshua, even unto this day. Okay? It may be that the house of Judah will hear all the evil which I purpose to do unto them, that they may return unto every man from his evil way. So this was written unto what's his name? Jeremiah, to the king Jehoiakim, to write a roll and to send it unto this king, to warn them, okay, to warn this king of about what's about to happen. And Jeremiah was young. That I may forgive their iniquity and their sin. When Jeremiah called Baruch the son of Neriah, and Baruch wrote, and this is the prophet Baruch as well, and Baruch wrote from the mouth of Jeremiah all the words of the Lord Yahushai, which he had spoken unto him, okay, upon a roll, upon a book. So the roll was what? A scriptures, a writing, and it was what? Addressed to the king Jehoiakim and other kings as well. I believe it's what? Zedekiah. We're going to get to it. And Jeremiah commanded Baruch, and Baruch was the scribe. He's the one who wrote down what Jeremiah told him to write down, saying, I am shut up, I cannot go into the house of the Lord. Thou therefore go and read in the roll, which thou hast written from my mouth, the words of the Lord in the ears of the people in the Lord Yahushua's house. Okay, upon the fasting day, and also thou shalt tread. Okay, thou shalt read them in the ears of all of Judah that come out of their cities. This is what was commanded unto Baruch, because Jeremiah could not be present, could not be in the house of the Lord. Okay. It may be that they will present their supplication before the Lord Yahushua. They're begging, they're fasting, they're praying. Okay. And I will return every one from his evil way. For great is the anger and the fury that the Lord Yahushua have pronounced against his people. So this letter was of the impending danger which was going to come upon our people that were not being obedient. And Baruch, son of Neriah, did according to all that Jeremiah the prophet commanded him, reading the book of the words of the Lord Jehovah Shem Yahushua's house, okay, the temple. And it came to pass in the 5th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Joshua, king of Judah, in the 9th month, that they proclaimed the fast before the Lord Yahushua to all the people of Jerusalem, and to all the people that came, okay, from the cities of Judah unto Jerusalem. So you have people that also came from what? Distant cities into Jerusalem. Okay. Then read Baruch in the book of the words of Jeremiah, the house of the Lord, in the chamber of Jeremiah. Gemariah, the son of Shaphan the scribe, in the higher court. Because you had different courts within the temple. You had the higher court and you had the lower courts. At the entry of the new gate of the Lord Yahushua's house, in the ears of the people. When Micaiah, the son of Jeremiah, the son of Shaphan, had heard out of all the book of the words of the Lord, when he went down into the king's house, into the scribe's chamber, and lo, all the princes sat even Elishama, the scribe, and Deliah, the son of what? Shemaiah, and El-Nathan, the son of Akbar, and Jeremiah, the son of Shaphan, and Zedekiah, the son of Hananiah, and the princes, and Micaiah declared unto them all the words that they had heard. When Baruch read the book in the ears of the people, therefore all the princes sent Jehudi, okay, the son of Nethaniah, okay, and the son of Shelemiah, the son of Cushi, and Baruch, saying, take in thy hand the roll wherein thou hast read in the ears of the people, and come. So Baruch, the son of Neriah, took the roll in his hand, and came unto them. Then said they unto him, sit down now, and read it in the ears. So Baruch read it in his ears. Now it came to pass, when they had heard all the words, they were afraid, both with one and the other, and said unto Baruch, we will surely tell the king all these words. And they asked Baruch, saying, tell us now, how didst thou write? Okay, all these words at his mouth. So they were saying, how did you scribe down all these words of his mouth? Okay, and they were dreadful words. It was words of destruction. What was going to happen to the children of Israel at that time? Okay. When Baruch answered unto them, he pronounced all these words unto me with his mouth, and I wrote them in the ink with the book, which is what called a scribe. Okay. When said the princes unto Baruch, go hide thee thou and Jeremiah. So why was it said unto Baruch and Jeremiah, go hide thee? Because he was giving them bad news. So they wanted to get rid of Baruch and Jeremiah because he was giving the kings of, Judah bad news. Zedekiah and the rest of the kings. Bad news. Okay? And it says, and let no man know where they be. So, even the prophets, yes, the prophets have to hide out. The prophets weren't always out in the open. Okay? There were times where they needed to hide out. You understand? They were not always out in the open. And they went into the king into the court, but they laid upon the roll in the chamber of Elishama the scribe, and told all the words in the ears of the king. And guess what? Jeremiah, he was young. Okay? And but guess what? This word was unto the king, because the king became corrupted. That's what you gotta understand. Okay? Unto the court, but they laid up the roll in the chamber. Bear me just a minute. And sent the king, so the king sent Jehudi to fetch the roll. And he took it out of Elishama the scribe's chamber, and Jehudi read it in the ears of the king. And in the ears of all the princes which stood beside the king. Now the king sat at the winter house, warming himself up in the 9th month, and there was a fire in the hearth burning before them. Okay, he's sitting before the fire, all comfortable. Okay. And it came to pass that when Jehudi had read 3 or 4 leaves, which means what, pages, he cut it with a penknife. So he actually cut the scriptures with a penknife, the roll, and cast it into the fire that was on the earth, until all the roll was consumed in the fire what was on the earth. So guess what the king done? He cut it up and he chucked it in the fire. So you had examples of wicked kings that didn't want to hear the words of Yahweh, that didn't want to hear the words of other men that were younger than them. That's why you got to read the scriptures. Okay? Yet they were not afraid, nor rent their garments. See, when a message comes from a prophet, you're supposed to be afraid. You're supposed to rend your garment. Okay? Neither the king nor any of his servants that heard all these words. Nevertheless, so they thought nothing of it. They thought light of the words. Nevertheless, Elnathan and Deliah and Gamariah had made intercession to the king. Okay, but he would not burn the roll, but he would not hear it. So they made intercession to the king that they were going to send another roll out into him, and this time they don't burn it. They take heed. Okay. But the king commanded Jeremiah, the son of Hamalek, Savaiah, the son of Azarel, Salamah, the son of Abdel, because remember the king had priests working for them, to take Baruch the scribe and Jeremiah the prophet, but the Lord hid them. So the king commanded other men, bear me just a minute, yeah, to take who? To take Jeremiah and Baruch, to get them out of there. When the word of the Lord Yahushua came to Jeremiah after the king had burned the roll, and the words which Baruch wrote at the mouth of Jeremiah, saying, take thee again another roll, and write in it all the former words that were first in the first roll, which Jehoiakim, the king of Judah, have burned, because he was a wicked king. He was wicked. So again, you're going to have men in the truth, they're kings, high status, but they don't want to listen to men that are what? Younger than them. Only to their own demise. And thou say to the king Jehoiakim, king Judah, thou saith the Lord, thou hast burned this roll, saying, what hast thou written therein, saying, the king of Babylon shall certainly come and destroy this land. That's what was written in that roll. And shall cause thee to seize thence man and beast. So this is what was prophesied. Destruction of the king. Therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Shai of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, he shall have none to sit upon the throne of David, and his dead body shall be cast out day and to the heat, and in the night to frost. This is what was prophesied. But of course you're not going to want to hear that. Okay. And I will punish him and his seed and his servants for their iniquity, and I will bring upon them and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem and upon the men of Judah and all the evil that I have pronounced against them, but they hearken not. So they were not hearkening unto what the prophets were saying. Then took Jeremiah another roll, here it is, another roll, and gave it unto Baruch the scribe, the son of Neriah, who wrote therein from the mouth of Jeremiah all the words, the book which Jehoiakim, king of Judah, had burned in the fire, and they were added besides unto them many like words. Okay? So I hope you're getting a more understanding of how important it is to take heed to what? The men of the Lord. Okay? Because if you don't, then you're in trouble. And there's more on it, but it's you got to read it for yourself. Okay? Read the book of Jeremiah from the 36th chapter all the way down. Then you see the madness that was happening. Our people, they didn't want to listen. Our people, they didn't want to take heed. So guess what? The Lord Yahushua had to judge them. Doesn't matter if you're younger in the faith. It doesn't matter. If the Spirit of the Lord is dealing with a man, you better take heed. Because if you don't, you're in trouble. Okay? There's so much more. Bear me just a minute. So let's jump straight to verse 12. Jeremiah went forth out to Jerusalem, okay, to go into the land of Benjamin, to separate himself thence in the midst of the people. Okay, and we went into that as well. You know, when we first started off this lesson, that he could be away from his people in the wilderness. Because this is what Jeremiah had to suffer. Okay, his own hard-headed people. And when he was in the gate of Benjamin, a captain of the ward was there, a guard, whose name was Arijah, and the son of Shelemiah, the son of Hananiah. And he took Jeremiah the prophet, saying, Thou fallest away unto the Chaldeans. Okay? Because Jeremiah, he went to these different lands. Then said Jeremiah, It is false. That was a false accusation. I fall not away to the Chaldeans, but he hearkened not to him. So Arijah took Jeremiah and brought him to the princes. Okay? In other words, to the kings, to the rulers. Alright? Wherefore the princes were wroth with Jeremiah, because he left. He didn't want to be amongst them. And smote him. Okay? And put him in a prison. So they beat him. They beat Jeremiah and they put him in a prison. And in the house of Jonathan the scribe. For they had made that the prison. Okay? When Jeremiah was entered into the dungeon and into the cabins, Jeremiah had remained there many days. Then Zedekiah the king, and that was under the order of a king, that he was put in that prison. Okay? Had remained there many days, and Zedekiah the king sent and took him out. And the king asked him secretly in his house and said, Is there any word from the Lord, Yahushai? And Jeremiah said, There is, for said he, Thou shalt be delivered into the hand of the king of Babylon. And this is what he was telling him. But he was still not taking heed. Alright? Moreover, Jeremiah said, and who is that king of? The king is Nebuchadnezzar. That's that king. Okay? And he was constantly telling them. Alright? Moreover, Jeremiah said to King Zedekiah, What have I offended against thee, or against thy servants, or against his people, that thou put me in prison? So guess what? There's a history of our people being wicked, not wanting to listen, not wanting to take heed. There's a history of our people doing that. Where are now your prophets which prophesied unto you, saying, The king of Babylon shall not come against you, nor against this land? Therefore hear now, I pray thee, O my lord the king, let my supplication, I pray thee, be accepted before thee. Okay? No, that's not me. Okay? Not return to the house of Jonathan the scribe, lest I die there. Okay? Jeremiah, he didn't want to return back to that house. Pure hell was being put upon Jeremiah. When Zedekiah the king commanded that they should commit Jeremiah into the court of the prison, now he could be taken out into the court of the prison, just for prophesying, and that they should give him daily a piece of bread, because favor was still shown unto him. Okay? And they should give him what? A piece of bread. Alright? Out of the baker's street until all the out of the baker's street until all the bread in the city was spent. Alright? Thus Jeremiah remained in the court of the prison. So again, it shows you. That's why the scripture says, through much tribulation we shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. The prophets, they weren't up floating around. You even had our own people that were on them high seats, but they didn't want to get off them high seats. Of course, if you're a king, if you're living splendid, if someone comes and tells you, look bro, you have to get off them seats, you're not going to like that. Okay? Our people are comfortable. Okay? They're really comfortable here. Okay? So with this lesson, I'll shut up here. And until the next time, shalom to the hopeful elect across the globe. Shalom.